following on from the last video where I talked about switching from summer fishing to winter fishing, about in summer I fish over boiling, in winter I fish over solubles. I thought I'd just give you an insight into the rigs I use and what baits I use over that. Now, I'm a massive fan of small pop-ups, 12mm pop-ups, like I say, washed out pink and yellow, and I'll go on to the rig in a minute and explain why I use the 12mm pop-ups. Now, the main thing is when I'm fishing over bait, you can imagine fish coming obviously in, picking bits up because the solubles are spread out, so they're just picking little patches up. And whether they be fishing a PVA bag as well, basically I want fish to grab, when they come over that bait, I want everything to take the bag and the hook bait. Now, how I do that, nothing really changes from my summer fishing to my winter fishing. I use the same rigs from summer to winter, and it's basically the snowman rig. I know a lot of people use single hookers, castings to showing fish, bright wafters, etc. For me, I don't change it because it catches fish whether it be summer and whether it be winter. And the only thing that changes with the baiting approach is the actual boiling, the solubles. The fish still feed the same. And the rig that I use is basically, it's a stiff boom with 1.5 inches of uncoated braid on like a slip D, tied on with an Albright knot. Now, on that there's a little tungsten, well, it's not a little tungsten bead, it's quite a big tungsten bead that slips over the knot. And the reason for that, obviously it makes the rig nice and neat, but it also acts as, when the fish picks the bait up and it tries to blow it out, tries to eject it, it can't go really back on itself like that. If the bead wasn't there, it could bend. But so that's why I use that. The slip D as well, like I say, is tied on with a little ring swivel, and it's bait flossed on. And like I said, I use the snowman all the time. 99% of my fishing. The only thing that will change from winter and summer is the actual length of the rig, depending on conditions and what waters I'm fishing. Now, as you can see, it's a trimmed down 15mm. That's actually trigger ice, but and a pink 12mm pop-up on the top. Now, the reason they call it a snowman and why it's called a snowman is basically it looks like a snowman. You want the bottom bait to be bigger than the actual pop-up, obviously, because you want it critically balanced on obviously over the bit on the bed. Now, as well as that, the other thing I do, and I see it a lot, is when people cast out these slip Ds, they just cast them out as normal with just a PVA bag on, and that allows the bait to actually, when it lands, if you imagine it landing like that, it sits back and actually sits against the actual kicker. You don't want that, you want it sat on the bend. I like it right on the bend, as tight down as I can get. So what I do, I get a little bit of PVA tape and I tie it so that it's right down on the bend, so that basically when you cast in with your PVA bag, obviously your bag's melted, the PVA tape melts and the actual rig is sat in place. So this time of year in winter, if you get fish coming over and you get one chance, you want it to hook it and you want to put it on the banking. So having your rig absolutely perfect, in my opinion, is one of the biggest things in it. And like I say, once that PVA tape actually melts, it's actually in place so that it's actually set. It's not sat back on the kicker. And like I say, we all go for millions of tubs of pop-ups. There's that many baits on the market and things like that. I tend to stick now to the same 3 or 4. It's basically trigger, pineapple and imbutrit, which is like a washed out pink in 12mm. They're all in 12mm. And the pineapple and imbutrit, which is in 12mm again. The other thing is, if you look back at the other video where I talked about the liquid that I use with pink pepper, with the black pepper in it, I'm a massive fan of the pink pepper pop-ups, especially over that, because it does lend its hand with the trigger ice and it does work well. Like I say, nothing really changes from summer to winter for me. I'm one of them that if it's not broke, don't fix it. And like I say, give it a try over winter. Instead of casting singles to showing fish or bright wafters, just give it a go. Get yourself some pop-ups, tie the rig up, fish over the solubles and see how you get on with it. There's no harm in trying. It works for me, and like I say, I'll continue using it.